No. Anyway,
Oh.
the theater held 75 people. One day there were two people there. One was asleep, the other wasn't paying attention. One was asleep, the front row. They sat in the front row. They didn't even fucking hide in the balcony. They were asleep. And you know what? They said after they came to the wrong place. They came to the wrong place. They thought they were seeing a Bangladeshi puppet troupe do Samuel Beckett's Waiting for Godot.
Amazing.
And instead, they saw a Canadian guy talk about 3 years in Los Angeles, not sounding remotely like the existentialist Irish playwright Samuel Beckett.
Dystopia tonight. Dystopia tonight.
Hey,
Nice to see you, lads. How are you?
good. How are you?
Well, I should be having my Toronto Maple Leafs hat on because the season starts.
Yes.
So
Represent,
nice.
man.
I see Tampa Bay is playing the Red Sox tonight, and so we lost by half a game, man. It was a heartbreaker. We put the boots to the Orioles, 12-2 and 10-1. But those damn Yankees, and they're packed with the devil.
I love the character change real quick. You put on the hat and you became like sports guy, and I was like, that was good. That was really good.
I'm classically trained. It's all in the costume, really.
Your Second City nature took over almost immediately. You were just like,
It did.
you were doing like a Tom Post, and you're like, and now let me get the manager. Hang on a second.
That's a perfect segue. Exactly.
Yeah.
Bring me a hat from backstage. I'm going to own this little corner of turfdom for a while and piss everybody else off.
Oh,
It doesn't
God.
always happen in Second City, right?
Yeah.
Just don't you get your laughs. Just don't get too many.
Right.
Just
Did
don't
they
get too
carve
many.
that into the bathroom wall?
Well, I don't know, but there were an awful lot floating. There's an awful lot of ex-players walking the roads of Second City purgatory. I know that, and that's true.
Really?
Who felt they never got their due,
Oh, God, I know. Isn't that weird how like almost every A-list comedy club has comics that have been around that won't leave, but they want to tell you how big they were at one point, and you're like, I'm 20, dude. I don't know what to tell. I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you. I got nothing. I got nothing for you.
Every now and then I like to brag and say I drink for free north of the Canadian tree line. But that doesn't go over so well at the Comedy Cellar, right?
Right.
No. A lot of Inuit know me by name. I'm the guy that worked my tour around the Arctic Char Run and the caribou migration. So, look, I mean, there's even pictures behind me. Can your audience see it? There's painting. Yeah.
Yes, that's great.
I've seen some incredible country in my travels. It's I don't know if you cats are into nature at all, but
yes,
stuck in blizzards, a Yeti wouldn't wander traveling with gigs. It's what's made the road magical these past 25 years.
Right. Do you? I got to ask because I feel like I was always told when I was I started doing stand up when I was 20, then I was always told like you're gonna hate the road one day. I'm 36. I don't hate it yet. I miss it. I love it. Do you get tired of it?
The road hones you. It's your Damascus blade, man.
Even like I feel like I have zero, like just from being that young and being able to travel that far, like all over the country, whatever. I have no fear of like I know what it's like to be in a blizzard. I know what it's like to get hit with a different form of weather and like, where you think a tornado is going to knock you on your ass in Nebraska. You know what I mean? Like, so I'm just like, I'm just like, nothing phases me. And
you get to read a room everywhere.
Yes, exactly.
You just don't have that same. See, in Toronto, the lodestone for stand-up in Canada, really. Toronto. Got 7.3 million people here, and there was Yuck Yucks, there's a Laugh Resort, there was Second City, and now there's the Comedy Bar. everybody who's anybody in the States has played there. And at one time, we had Ray Romano, Louis C.K., and
nice.
Ellen DeGeneres, Kevin James come through the Laugh Resort in their earlier incarnations.
Yeah, that's so great.
But you got to play the road, but we don't have as an extensive and as potentially lucrative circuit here in the country, which is why I moved into soft seaters 22 years ago. I blazed the trail into the theaters then.
Nice.
And my first tour was around the frozen lip of Gitche Gumi, with a nod to Longfellow.
Wow.
At Lake Superior in February, playing high school gymnasiums and Legion halls and community centers. Wow. But it was tactile, and it was a reel you could feel. And I knew at that point in time that, there might not be much of a stroke playing playing some high school gymnasium in Dryden, Ontario, in the middle of the Canadian Shield, scoured hard by retreating glaciers. You'd swear they just left yesterday.
Right.
But it paid 5 times what the clubs did in Toronto when I had kids. I had a mortgage to pay, and it was just an economic reality. But in America, with 375 million people, boy, I mean, you can throw a stick and hit a dozen clubs. I mean, I don't know if that's a fallacy or not, but I think it's the case.
No, it was funny. We were just talking about it earlier today that there's almost like a club for every Starbucks. You know what I mean? To a certain extent out here, but at the same time,
a different tone for every club too, right?
Right. Yes.
Style. Like I just shot a cat by the name of Nathan McIntosh. He always played the Comedy Cellar. He's a Canadian kid, and he said there's. And the Comedy Cellar, really, I mean, for my money, when I go to New York to watch stand-up, I don't perform there, but I mean, it's
the best.
Oh, it's the best, hands down. And, great kid, 20, 25 years my junior, but he said, you'll go to Brooklyn, or the Brooklyn acts will come to the Cellar, and they won't kill. And by the sounds of things, you have to kill at that room.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And you're there. I know exactly what he's talking about. He's talking about like the alt comedy hipsterish kind of room scene or whatever. And that's exactly 100% true.
The comedy with no jokes.
Exactly. Where they basically open up a dire and they're like, today, and you're like, oh, dude,
you're
fucking killing me.
Yeah. I've seen that, and I find it the most appallingly. It's just contemptible. For the art form.
That's a great way to put it.
You still need the 1, 2, 3. You still need. I mean, it's like these kids who think they're gonna catch lightning in a bottle with some great bit on social media. It's like, no. I mean, look, you're 37. You've been at it since you were 20. You gotta put the time in, man.
Yeah, exactly. And they don't want to do that either. They're like, why do I want to go? And I'm like, because you have to. One of the other joys is seeing somebody like that out on the road for the first time and watching them not be able to handle an audience. And I'm just like, I'm not fucking saying it. Like this.
I hear you, man. Yeah. No. They have to have their crucible. Have to have their trial by fire. There's a pickle town north of Toronto called Sudbury, and second show Sudbury Saturday night at 11 o'clock when the uranium miners are in. Shit-faced and pissed off. They didn't get laid at the bar, and they didn't get in a fight. So, okay, the next best thing, let's deal with the stand-up.
Oh, yeah.
And, you got to pull your metaphoric blade from that we keep in the boot and slice yourself to safety. But it makes it stronger. It's Nietzsche-esque. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It gives you, and plus it makes you stronger not only as a stand-up, but just in life in general. Like there's literally nothing any stranger off the street can say to me that's gonna faze me.
It hones your metal, doesn't it? It does indeed.
Right.
Yeah. That Damascus blade has been folded 57 times after.
Good reference.
Yeah, and another great thing too. I mean, to survive in those clubs, you got to throw your act out the window a lot of times. And that made me better faster.
Me too.
I started with a one-man show. I got back from LA in '93. I was an actor for 17 years. I started in Second City. We went to LA. There was Deb McGrath, who's married to Colin Mockery, and Linda Cass, who put 5 years in Los Angeles as well, and actress. Yeah. They created a show called My Talk Show, sold it to Ron Howard's company. So we all went down in the early '90s.
Wow.
Excuse me. And, old story. Our picture was in Newsweek on Tuesday. This is the cult show to watch this season. We were canceled on Thursday. And Monday, I was chest deep in a hole on Robert Urich's front yard, pulling a rotted bush out with my buddy's landscaping company.
Oh, my God.
Robert Urich walks out the front door, who had just played Jake Spoon in the riveting miniseries Lonesome Dove.
Wow.
And he was dressed in baronial splendor, headed to Will Rogers Ranch to engage in the sport of kings.
Oh, my.
Play a little bit of polo that afternoon.
Holy shit.
And my buddy Jay at the time, Bob walks out. My buddy says, "Hey, Bob," points down to me, mud-smeared troll in the hole, and says, "This is my buddy Ron. He's an actor too." And only people in the business get that. And oddly enough, he wasn't psyched for a chin wag with me to discuss the merits of the Stanislavski method on contemporary American cinema. But it made me better being in Los Angeles for a year and a half out of work. And then, and I wasn't a stand-up then, but stand-ups came on my talk show. And
nice.
I remember thinking, wow, a lot of them aren't funny.
Yeah.
They were tight. They had tight sets.
Yep.
But it was that tight 8 minutes with I don't know, it just seemed to lack depth or something. Whatever it was. Anyway, I ended up throwing my name in the hat at Ventura Boulevard Coffee House Amateur Nights.
Wow.
And started writing what became my first one-man show up and down in Shakytown. But the disparate collection of foot soldiers trying to get a hold in the American dream was, I mean, you got to keep the audience's attention when you're following somebody who says they were beamed aboard a ship by aliens and have the scars to prove it, right? and I like I'm sharing the stage with the illegitimate spawn of the Charles Manson clan who wandered down from their Chatsworth Warrens with poetry and prose looking for the love that Charlie never gave.
Right.
And, I'm like I've got this short story that I've written that I'm reading, which eventually became my one-man show about the hitting the wall of reality in Los Angeles versus the celluloid fantasy that you had growing up as a kid where I was from in Nova Scotia, Canada.
Right.
Anyway, regardless, it made me fighting in Los Angeles for a foothold in that Carnivores arena. Then when my visa didn't get renewed and I came back here. But, those 3 years in LA, chasing the sitcom dream and writing Shakytown, it's the only reason I'm talking to you now 25 years later.
Wow. Yeah, isn't it crazy that those experiences can be one thing at one point in time, and then as you move and progress forward, you're like, holy shit, if it wasn't for this, I wouldn't be here now. So that's
astute observation, and it's just energy expended is energy returned.
Ooh, yeah.
And you don't get anywhere unless you put your shoulder to the mule and plow. And I don't want to sound like the old crusty boat builder in some corner of Maine or Nova Scotia. You gotta know how to build a hull first. Until you've eaten the bosun, you really don't know what survival is. Until you're one of 4 comedians in a car and you've had to eat the unfunny one, you don't have any idea what you're in store for.
I feel like you just gave us a glimpse of what that conversation was like between the guys from Shawshank once they got to San Juan Tanejo and they were after they finally got that boat made. Tim Robbins is just telling him about comedy. Morgan's like, "Fuck it, I'm swimming."
I hear you, bro. But
isn't it crazy though?
You made it with Second City and originally in the touring company, right?
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so that's where Donnie Lake was in the company then. Who is on Space Force. He wrote for years, and just the salt of the earth, dude. And as I say, Deb was in the company. He was married to Colin Mockery, and then when we were already seasoned veterans, we picked this young kid up on a grassy knoll, honest to God, in Agincourt. He had a suitcase, a soccer ball, a bottle of Tums, a case of Coke, and the collected works of Harold Pinter.
Wow,
that was Myers. Mike Myers got in.
Oh, no way!
Yeah, he
That's
did.
Crazy.
Man.
Because he specifically asked you to induct him, right? When he got into the
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah, it was a great night. It was a
Yeah.
great night, and we still keep in touch and talk about work hard.
Yeah.
I mean, even he finishes grade 12 exams and walked into the van with seasoned veterans like us, or some of us were 10 years older than him, right? And
Right.
he held his own. And but you talk about work ethic, okay? Work ethic.
Yeah.
And I mean, I had a father who was far from draconian. He was very funny, but he liked the job well. I mean, if you're going to do a job, you have to do it right.
Yeah.
And I remember we'd have a snowstorm, and I was, you'd have to get the snow bank, you have to get the snow even. This was in the days before snow blowers. You have to get it even. And I said to him once, I said, Jesus, man, you're going to bring a level and put it on the top of that, a carpenter's level, to make sure the bubble's in the middle. But, whether we were sanding the floors or sanding doors or shingling the roof or painting the house, it just had to be done right.
Yeah.
And Mike had that work ethic in the beginning with the scenes. I mean, even when a scene was so-so, he wanted to make it better. And don't forget, I mean, we're playing for summertime cottages, right?
Right.
I mean, it was the Canadian Catskills, and then of course you learn. I mean, you guys are really easy to talk to. You're affable, you're gregarious, and that's also part of the chemistry that you need to survive.
Yeah.
He's got to be able to get along. And we used to say we should hold the auditions for Second City in the touring company van, because that's really when we were traveling in country.
Right. It seemed to me that
your own,
and I could be wrong. It seemed to me that Second City, people who came up in the Second City crew and all that other stuff were just tighter than maybe SNL. You know what I mean? Because I know there was some competitiveness there in the beginning when it started. Do you feel that way too? That the SCTV guys kind of stick together more and, are kinder to each other?
Television show or the stage people?
Like just television show. Like
the television people were tight for a long time, and they were. I mean, I don't see them much anymore. I opened for them here when, excuse me, several years ago, and it hasn't been on Netflix yet. I don't know why, but Scorsese directed and Jimmy Kimmel hosted, and it was an incredible evening. Wow. And boy, oh boy, they were nice.
Yeah.
When I was a young kid and on main stage, they used to give me roles in their sketches, and I'll show up a skinnier version of me with red hair. Show up.
That's what I've read, though. I read that they kind of like they go back out because like I think a couple of the improv stuff that went down during COVID was like UCB, like Upright Citizens Brigade, and another one that was.
They went down, did they? I didn't know that.
Yeah, they're gone. Their whole operation, which is insane because it's they
were great.
They were, but it was funded. It was started by Amy Poehler and that other dude who make millions. So like it was kind of a weird kind of a thing. There was like a bit of a rift between stand-ups and that particular improv.
How many years ago was that? About 15 or 20 it was started?
Yeah. Yeah.
There used to be, it doesn't exist in Toronto like it used to, but when I started years ago in the 80s, near the twain shall meet, there was Yuck Yucks, there was the stand-up guys, and that particular energy, and then there was improv. And when I first started in stand-up, I mean, I dabbled in it when I got out of university, and I believe I say in the book, I didn't have the courage to bomb as much as you have to in order to hone your thick skin. And that's when I went to Second City, and I found the energy of the club in those days. And I don't think I'm speaking at a school. Very combative, very competitive.
Wow.
And I wanted something that was far more egalitarian. And I did get that at Second City. And I had some great teachers, and it was in a great time. And it was at a point where I think my energies were focused on ensemble work, and there was no better place in North America to learn the craft of ensemble comedy and character-driven comedy.
Right.
And so it was great. I was with them for, I guess I was with those guys for, if you include LA, I suppose, 10 years.
Wow.
Going down to the show. But when stand-up, I don't know, both of you have done improv, right?
I've done
What's
it.
funny is I have.
Yeah, Tom's done improv too. Actually, Ollie, no, yeah.
When people say, "Oh, it's the same," it's not. I say that an improv troupe, 6 improvisers, are the same as 6 well-informed Bolsheviks on a communist farm talking to a tractor,
Right.
where stand-up is an enlightened dictatorship.
Yes. Wow, that's beautiful.
And that's the way I feel. And
Yeah.
but the skills that you learn in second seat, I mean, you can't beat working. You can't Monday. We dark on Sunday and Monday. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 4 shows,
Mm-hmm.
4 improv sets, and then 2 shows Friday and 2 Saturday for $350.
Wow.
When you were
That's nice.
25 years old, and with signing charges at the bar, 50% off your booze, man.
Yeah. I always feel like when I started, I mean, I didn't take a proper improv class. When I first started, I took a comedy class because I had no idea how to even get into it.
There you go.
And it was great. And it was funny because there's 30 people in that class, and it was only me and another friend who actually just passed away because of COVID recently.
Oh, no.
But she and I were the only ones who did it after that much time. Like, we stuck with it and we're good at it. And then, but we did practice some improv in those classes. And I loved doing that on stage, but it is a difference between doing it in a group, because I got to go to, have you done Boston, right?
No, but I've worked with Boston comedians at Just for Laughs, and I've heard it's a great comedy town.
Yeah, it is. I love my 3. I love New York. I love Boston, and DC are probably my 3 favorite. I mean, I like LA too, but like, there's something about New York, Boston, and DC where it's just you know what I mean? It's just smarter, faster.
Right. And I would think there's a purity there, because, the unfortunate thing about Los Angeles is that and maybe it's not the case anymore, but
it probably is.
Every set is a life or death set. I mean, you suck at one set and the wrong person sees you, you're fucked.
Yeah, I don't know that too many people come out so much anymore, but you know what weirds me out when I lived in LA, I was a lot of it is about the credits that you have, because there's so many actors turned stand-ups now, where it's like I would be like, I moved out there and all of a sudden they would be like, and this person's been in yada yada yada, and they'd have a good spot, and I'd be like, fuck, they must be great, and then they would go up and bomb.
Squat. It might sound good until you get in front of that mic.
Yes,
but it means squat 10 seconds after you start talking.
That's what I learned pretty quickly, where I was like, oh my god, they suck. Like, I was like, what the fuck? So that's what I noticed about LA. Yeah.
I have a story in the book of a Canadian actor at some event at the CBC who, and I cannot bear the glib patronizing of this craft, because it takes forever to be competent at.
Yes.
And those of us who ply our trade in the comedy trenches know damn well that it takes a lifetime to master, if ever. So when some actor with a few movies under their belt flippantly says, my buddies and I are thinking on going to the clubs, just to work a few things out. Oh, you want to work a few things? Oh, by all means, away you go. I wanted to enlighten them and say, okay, well, here's what you do. Okay, you're going to walk out from behind the curtain on an amateur night and feel every bit of moisture leave your mouth, and instead show up in the palms of your hands when you can't remember your set. And when the audience goes contemptibly quiet because you have the temerity to think you might be a stand-up comedian. And every joke that killed elsewhere with your buddies is landed flat as piss on a plate, while your heart is rolling out the hole of your pinhole into the butt-strewn street. And then someone says, that was a good set. You go, yeah, really? And you come back another amateur night and you do it again, and you get laughs, and you keep going, so that maybe you can build 45 minutes to work up a pauper's payday.
Yeah. Wow. And what's, do you remember? I remember when I first started, like I knew it was one of those things. I knew I loved doing it because I would bomb and feel that immense, you know what I mean? That warm head, like you just described it, but you get that warm headache in the back of your neck. Basically, it's all the way up. And I would just bomb, and then immediately I would get home and book 5 more shows because I needed to make up for the fucking what I just did. I'm like, I can't leave it like that. I got to keep going, and it was nuts.
That's the mark of a professional. When you do the work after the set, you don't go drinking beer with the boys. That's what someone was telling me the other day, right?
Yeah.
That's what Nathan was talking about. He was at an event. He was performing here, and he's an excellent stand-up. And the little show that he wrote, the show that he wrote is unique and original. And anyway, this guy tanks at the Winnipeg Comedy Festival. Just tanks. There was a phrase that Nathan said. This guy just eats his own dick on stage, right?
That's the best expression. Yeah.
Just eats his own dick. And my buddy is sick for him. Everybody's sick for him. Like, oh my God, he won't be able to look anybody in the eye. Oh no, he's at the party afterwards, enjoying himself.
Right.
Away.
Right.
But nothing happened. Like it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It shouldn't matter.
Wow.
Yeah.
It should matter. And you should wear a loss. You should. I mean, a professional athlete does. A doctor doesn't, buy himself a Maserati if he loses the 5th patient that week.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I agree. And what's crazy? I still have moments where I remember severe bombs that weren't a big deal career-wise. But it's one of those things where, like, you know what you did wrong. You shouldn't have bombed that night. But everybody you fucking know happened to come out to see you, and you ate it. You know what I mean? And it's like
so awful.
Yeah, but I still remember that to this day, and that was years ago. And
I put a story in the book about tanking at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival. I went over in '97 with my one-man show. I mean, I was playing an old study hall at the University of Edinburgh, whose doors hadn't been opened since John Locke was in there writing the midterm. Right? It smelled of cholera and decomposition. There were ghosts there. It was grotesque.
Right.
And there were 1,500 acts. Right. Every street, and the buskers were there. It was a busker festival, which
Oh wow.
I can't stand buskers, man. Hey, look, hey. Just like tie the balloon dog and call her a day, okay? Fire. Fuck off. Right? Just oh, your dad must be happy you dropped out of med school to become a fucking juggler. Anyway, right? So every street corner, there were buskers there from Belgium to Rangma, Jeesley, Gongaloo. I watched a rummy take a shit in a hat before I realized it wasn't a show. Right? So anyway, nobody's coming to my show. I had a mortarboard out. I had a big poster out there of the 3 different faces of LA up and down Shaky Town. The first one, happy going. The second one, and the last one, pull my hair out. Anyway, I have a little rehearsal, and they saddle me with some stage manager. It's simple lighting cues, and music cues. I'm not asking you to put the brain of an ocelot into a rhesus monkey, buddy. I'm just asking you to pay attention to the fucking soundboard. Anyway, I was having an aneurysm. I was growing a bubble in my brain.
Right.
And I came out of the hall, and there were 2 Scottish stagehands standing outside looking at me, having a smoke. And he goes, "Hey, someone's puked on your poster." And some Scottish piss tank at 11 in the morning, 11 a.m., had vomited on my middle face, and there was a softball-sized dollop of human hurl running down my middle head. And I looked at that and I thought, I don't need to see the Oracle of Delphi to know that this run's going to suck. Don't need to see the wizard in the cave. Hey, read some runes for me, will you? What's up for me these next few weeks? Some good news coming? Few British deals? No. Anyway, the theater held 75 people. One day there were 2 people there. One was asleep, the other wasn't paying attention. One was asleep, the front row. They sat in the front row. They didn't even fucking hide in the balcony. They were asleep. And you know what? They said after they came to the wrong place. They came to the wrong place. They thought they were seeing a Bangladeshi puppet troupe do Samuel Beckett's Waiting for Godot.
Amazing.
And instead then they saw a Canadian guy talk about 3 years in Los Angeles, not sounding remotely like the existentialist Irish playwright Samuel Beckett. And
Oh my God.
Me. We really wanted to see the puppet troupe. Well, that's not my fucking problem. We really wanted to see the puppet troupe. You were good, but we wanted to see the puppet troupe.
Jesus Christ.
3 weeks. But, you know, I hauled the guts out of the show every day. I made it better. You know, and you'd walk out from behind the curtain and you go, how many are here today? You're here today.
All right.
And one day, I got 3 stars out of 5 in the Independent. They finally came to review me.
Wow.
And so I had one too many Lagvulins that night celebrating. And I woke up in the morning with just a hydrocephalic-sized head. Yes, it was like a Macy's Day float. It should have been held down by guy wires. It was the biggest bastard in the world. And it was like 120 degrees in Scotland. Everybody was smoking.
Wow.
And they were all purple-faced and grumpy. Anyway, I said, I got to go down. I just got to go sit in the shade downtown. I had to walk this off. And there was no shade left in the old town of Edinburgh because the last tree was chopped down in 1310 to burn a witch. And it was the world's largest concentration of bagpipers.
Oh my God.
And I had a headache.
Oh
my God. I almost fouled myself when they hit these odious notes. Anyway, it was a crucible that's remembered. But when you talk, you know, we talk about the road, or we talk about trials, we talk about failure. And you don't want to sound like like I say, a cranky old bastard. I'll tell you another thing. You tasted a human foot. You don't know what suffering is.
That's great, though.
Better, brother. And
those are good.
That's the only reason I'm talking to you now. So, you know.
Yeah. You know what's crazy? I was literally, one of my questions was going to be, what was it like in Edinburgh? And I'm glad I didn't even get, like, that was great. Because I've heard rough stories. That's probably the roughest I've heard.
Oh, it was just.
But that is.
Oh, it was every single day.
Right.
And the stage manager, Buddy, he was working on his PhD in folklore. Folklore, what kind of job does that get you unless you're going to be a translator in the elfin tongues of Tolkien? I mean, he should have been back at the faculty lounge drinking mead with Bilbo Baggins lookalike. You know, rotund.
Oh, God. That's
right?
Great.
With socks and Birkenstocks or something. Whatever. Anyway, it was just hellish. It was just hellish. Yeah. But as time went on, you know, the first tour I put together around Superior was so exciting. And then I got a great producer in Canada just by hook or by crook. We just happened to be, we started with half a dozen soft seat theaters in 2000 in Canada. And we sold out one 1,000-seater down the road in Ottawa. Wow. And I'd only had a couple of, Shaky Town was on the Comedy Network at that point in time as a 90-minute special. I got one. Russell Peters got one.
I love Russell Peters.
And Jeremy Hotz, my buddy.
I love Jeremy. I was going to ask you about Jeremy Hotz.
You gotta get him on your show, man.
I will. You know, I have a good friend who's best friends with Jeremy Hotz.
He's the best.
Do you know Joe Starr?
No, I don't. He's
done Just for Laughs like 5 years straight. He was like part of the Masters, and then went on their like one of their last tours with them. But he was with Russell and Jeremy, and but he's best friends with Jeremy Hotz. And every time he goes out to LA, he crashes there. And I go to LA all the time or whatever. And I finally got to meet Jeremy because we did the Ice House together. And it was just he was fucking awesome. But he was mad that I'll never forget it because I know he's. You know how he is. Yeah. So it was just funny. So Joe, his buddy's texting me, and I'm talking to Jeremy, whatever. And then I go, I'm doing this or whatever. And then I'm going back. I got to go back to Jersey. I got to go back to this is where I live. And he goes, why? And I go, I got dates. I got to go. He goes, well, you're coming back here, right? And I go, well, yeah, but I don't live here. And he goes, why not? I was like, I used to. And I go, but I had to go. He's like, you should have never moved. It's like, Jesus Christ. And then I asked Joe, he's just great.
Haven't seen him for about 3 years ago. We did a benefit for mental health in Ottawa. That was
nice.
the first time I'd seen him in years. And
Hmm.
oh my God. And he's a bulletproof act. The first tour Just for Laughs did, in fact, in Canada. It was he and I and Brent Butt, who created
nice.
by the name of Corner Gas.
Yeah.
And Jeremy and I used to change. Brent was hosting, and Jeremy and I would change closing spots.
How great is it when you go with your friends?
Kill all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, he's fucking crushes.
He always kills.
Yeah, he's so good.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I love when you get to go and perform with your friends because there's nothing like not
doing much. And I really miss it.
Yeah,
I really miss it. There's some cats I really like working with, and Just for Laughs was always. Have you ever played JFL?
I haven't. I was going to ask you a little bit about that. I want to desperately. I haven't even been to Canada, believe it or not.
Oh wow, man!
Wow.
I know. Tom probably has.
Oh yeah, I love Canada. It's actually one of my favorite countries, and I've been to a lot of countries. Yeah. And Canada has excellent food, excellent culture. It's so friendly. Yeah, I really am. I'm a big fan.
Have you been to my province of Nova Scotia?
No.
You know what? Nova Scotia's on my list. Quebec City and Nova Scotia, both places I want to get to, like ASAP. But when you guys shut down, I haven't traveled since right before that. But yeah,
I want to come down to New York too. But America isn't recognizing AstraZeneca vaccines.
When you get down here, we're definitely going to get together.
Let's do it,
New York area, 100%.
Yeah. We're thinking of coming down just before Christmas, maybe.
Nice. Ooh.
And New York's nice then, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. No. It's always nice. I mean, I love it, but it's
we got that.
Particularly exciting time.
Yeah.
Rockefeller Center's lit up, and
yes,
it's like you're in a movie, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's get together when you get down here. That'd be great.
Cool.
Yeah.
But it's been Just for Laughs was the grail, and mentioned quite a bit in the book too. The highlight of JFL for me was getting to work with your heroes.
Yeah.
And in 2004, was it my gala in 2004? My gala, Don Rickles was hosting my gala.
Oh my God, no way.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was Rickles.
That's incredible.
And we were all just ecstatic, right?
Yeah.
I mean, here he is. And I pay homage to the night in the book as well. But I used to do this bit at the time about camping. I used to say, camping's fun in the daytime, but as soon as the sun goes down, everything that eats meat wakes up. I was pretty safe, though. I camped beside some Germans. God bless them with their accent will scare anything. Ich word lieben aus nach uns, lieben noch nicht schnell, ob der raus oder aus des Schlimmen, ich word lieben aus. And they were only trying to set the friggin' tent up. I don't care where you are, hiking the Cabot Trail or rafting the belly of the Grand Canyon. You hear, ich word lieben aus und uns. You're making a beeline for Switzerland. You and the kids run for the border with the Von Trapp family. I'll hold them off. Used to do that bit there.
Yeah.
Anyway, I come backstage, and Rickles is laughing. And this agent for comedians comes up to me. He goes, Rickles was watching your set. He was killing himself.
Wow.
Rickles comes up to me, and he's looking. He's this far from my face, right? And he said, that was a great set, kid. I can't believe it. Just this little turtle head, right? Looks like the king of the turtles. He's like right in front of me. That was a great set, kid. He said, I didn't get my first break till I was 38 years old. He goes, how old are you? I said 42. The smile changes in a heartbeat into the face you'd use for a widow at the closed casket of her husband.
Oh my God.
Slaps you in the face and says you're finished.
Wow.
Anyway, I got to get his autograph on the JFL poster, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's a little guy there. As I say, little. I'm only 5'4", but this guy.
Me too.
Okay, there you go, man.
Yeah.
So, but this guy was 5'1".
Okay.
He'd been. I said, could I? And I said, I want to get Frank Sinatra's autograph to the agent. He said, that's the guy you want to ask. Frank Sinatra's autograph.
Don Rickles.
Don Rickles. So this guy comes up. He goes, I will get Mr. Rickles' autograph for you. I was Frank Sinatra's stage manager for years. And he's just like one of these little guys from Vegas, right?
Mhm.
He knows where the bodies are buried. Look, I can get you the ring with the finger on it if that's what you want. Do you want the finger on the ring? Anyway, he takes me to the room, and Rickles is sitting there with 2 highballs of ice water, tuxedos open, just sitting. There's 4 other guys against the wall, just like this, 4 guys with carcinogenic tans, right? Just everything, just smoking. Right. And Rickles writes on my poster, funny is as funny does, and you are. 6 months later, I'm driving from Vancouver to northern BC in Prince George, and I'm stuck in that blizzard of Yeti wouldn't wander with logging trucks barreling out of the blizzard on my side of the road.
Wow.
And the 3-lane highway became a snow-crusted goat path a Taliban refugee with a winning lottery ticket wouldn't cross. And their ass end of logs is swaying into my lane. And I think they're going to bounce me into the afterlife. I'll become one of those spooky white crosses coyotes happily hop the highway to piss on.
Right.
That'll be my ending days, right? Hey, that's where the guy died who did the liquor barn dance. Anyway, whatever. And but that's the collateral. That's the sole collateral you keep.
Right.
That's the hum that stays with you. That it's almost like the Joseph Campbell mentor on the long journey, right? It's the guy that says, no, you're going the right. It's not going to be easy, right?
Yeah,
but you're on the right path.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a joke. Just reminded me of a joke or a story basically that Seinfeld has told, where I think I could be messing up who it is exactly, but it's basically this. It's like Trans-Siberian Orchestra. They're going to do a gig. It's a blizzard. Their bus breaks down, but they can see the venue, so they got to walk, and they're dragging all their instruments and everything, and they're the bottom of their pants are wet and it's freezing cold, and they're trudging through the snow, and they pass this house, and they look right in the window, and they see this family there, and they're all warm, and they're all gathered around the table, and laughing and basically eating dinner in front of each other. And one of the guys goes to the other one, how do people live like that? And he's like, and that's what it's like being a stand-up performer. It's like, would you give that up?
That's a great story,
right? As it just reminded me of. You said you just did the whole blizzard thing. So I'm like,
that's a great story.
Yeah,
it's
great.
That's perfect. And Seinfeld, of course, walks the talk. I remember reading a book years ago before I became a stand-up called Comics. I think it's out of print now.
Comic Insights? I know what you're talking about because I have all those. I think I have it. It's from the 70s, right?
Yeah, Paul or early 80s. Paul Weiser is interviewed.
Yes, it's called Comic Insights, and it's by Franklin Ajay.
There you go.
Yeah,
and
it's a great book.
Interviewed too. It's before he got famous, right?
Yep.
And I love how Seinfeld says people are always complaining about stealing people's jokes. Write another one.
Yeah, absolutely.
And thievery isn't notorious here because in Canada, stand-up is paid gratuitous lip service by the powers that be. Wow. It just is. And I will have to we succeed despite ourselves here. And it's one of the reasons why I moved into soft seaters as many years ago as I did. The club circuit was just so lean and feudal.
Right.
But
is there still an urge to get to, or like, because I don't know, like whenever I listen to, guys like from the old SCTV crew and Martin Short or whatever, but there's even stand-ups, from Canada or whatever, Jim Carrey, there's always like an urge to get to America in a certain sense. But over the years, as so many talented people have been shown to come into Canada, is there still that feeling like you need to make it in America? Or do you think people still like, now there's like a whole different feel, like Canada has all the funny people right now. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, but we don't have the infrastructure nor the depth to build these killer a slew of killer comedies. I mean, Schitt's Creek was an anomaly. and it threaded the needle, and it just absolutely tapped into the zeitgeist.
Beautiful.
And of course, Eugene and Catherine and Dan. But having their pedigree at the helm of that. Then there was Kim's Convenience, which is very popular with the Korean diaspora, which did well. But for the most part, that 12-person writing room, which Los Angeles was synonymous with for so long.
Yeah.
I mean, there were days when there were 20 writers, weren't there, for sitcoms? I mean,
yes.
My buddy told me that when he wrote, when he and Bonnie Hunt had their series, they'd have 12 writers in there, and they'd still have to go in on Sunday and finish the scripts.
Yeah, I love Bonnie Hunt too. Yeah, she's phenomenal.
Yeah, she's amazing. She's one of those and a precursor to Tina Fey.
Yeah,
and absolutely. She absolutely trailblazed for women from Second City. That's for sure. But yes, the American dream is still existent in Canada when it comes to comedy.
Right.
And it's not so imperative with me anymore because I was able to find my place here. And at that point in time when it would have been apropos for me to head to America again, I'd already had a second daughter.
Right.
And I'd moved into a house. And so I had a mortgage to pay. I had a bathroom to fix. I had the things. I had shoes to put on. I had people to feed.
Yeah.
And so that became as much a priority for me as my career was or did. And the necessity of moving beyond the myopic perimeter, the big smoke, for this other wider world of wonders. I will. Look, I'm not going to lie. I mean, you never forget March in Los Angeles when a rain comes through and the air smells like eucalyptus and you're hiking in Topanga Canyon or somewhere in Point Doom. Right. I mean, the place is intoxicating. It's a narcotic that sometimes I'll even wake up smelling it, It's been years.
Really.
And I have good memories of when my eldest was young there. But slowly over the years, it just it didn't become as much a priority to go down there and fight it out again in the clubs once I began to fill 2,000 seaters here.
Yeah.
So, and I came to the conclusion, laughter is laughter, right?
Yeah.
Hearing 2,000 people laughing in a snowstorm in Edmonton in February sounds exactly the same as 2,000 people laughing in Las Vegas when it's warm.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And you might not. I mean, you don't make the money that you do there. You have to suffer relentless conditions on the road, but the hotels are comfortable now. The food is a lot better that you have to eat. And I'm not traveling in a car with 3 other people living on fast food and faith, bunking at some down at the heels funky motel where biker groups broke the thumbs of snitches and the maids try to scrub the stink of hopelessness away with Pine Sol.
I got booked in a hotel once where they didn't realize that they were renovating the wing I was in. and I got in there and I was, you're exhausted from coming off the road. So I get into my hotel room and I immediately collapse on the bed, set my alarm. I get up like an hour before, the show or whatever. I'm like, I'm going to take a quick shower. I go to turn on the water and like this horrible gut wrenching noise comes on. I'm like, oh fuck, come on. So like I go there, I go to call down to the desk from the phone. There's no dial tone. And I noticed there's no lights on in my room. And I was like, what the fuck? And then I go out into the hallway. And you know how you usually in a hotel room, you can hear kids or people dead fucking silent. So I'm like, what the fuck happened? I go back in my room. I call from my cell phone and they're like, where are you? And I'm like, 83B, whatever the fuck. And they're like, oh, that's all being rented. Like that's being taken down. I'm like, well, before the wrecking ball comes in, does somebody want to move me? like a fucking taxi moment from Jim sitting in the room and he just gets that.
Buddy, I hear you. So that first tour around Superior, they had these, there was everything but, the tape of a body on the floor, but they they had complimentary coffee, and I remember thinking, I took one sip and I thought, if this coffee's a compliment, my wake-up call must be a kick in the nuts. It was just this. But what we suffer in the beginning is, it's Nietzsche.
Yeah.
Like I say, whatever tries to kill you will only make you stronger.
Oh, absolutely.
And you know what? Nobody gets great stories out of how comfortable the bed was.
Yeah, whatever tries to kill you only makes you funnier in this business. Like that's the only.
It's true.
You know what's crazy though? Do you know Ted Alexandro?
What do I know?
He's a great New York comic. He opens for Jim Gaffigan all over the road and stuff. But he's just like he's like one of the best comics in New York. But he and I were talking, and we were talking about like just basically the things you learn to accept as a comic that no normal human being. Because I was like, dude, I remember the first time I met you. You were so nice to me. You know, we actually ate dinner together before the show. And he goes, I just want you to stop right there and listen to what you said. I was nice because I let you eat dinner with me. But it's so true. It's
just simple courtesies.
Yeah. I was like, yeah, you're really nice. And he was like, that's amazing that we come from this world.
This strange carnivore's arena. Because there are savage encounters, aren't there?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's weird. I mean, I lucked out. I met a lot of good people. I
find that comes from insecurity, though.
Oh, totally. 100%. Yeah. I mean, like anytime, like, especially now, like I look back on, dudes that have yelled, they maybe yelled at me when I was younger or whatever. And I was like, oh, I totally get it. We were doing I was just starting out, so it was fine for me. But this guy was doing an Elks Lodge on the side of a mountain to 3 goats and a square, So I'm like, of course. And he's been in it for 40 years. So that sucks.
Of course, he's getting bitter. And it's always the missed moment, right?
Right.
It's like that. I didn't realize it till I watched the documentary on Del Close that he worked with Elaine May and Mike Nichols.
Yeah.
And they went to Broadway and then he got the boot.
Yep.
He was just, we don't need you. I didn't know that part of his story.
I got sad when I heard that. That was a real bummer.
That was pretty Machiavellian.
Yeah. Yeah, it hurt. It's weird. It is kind of funny too, because from being in this business, when you watch like a documentary like that or whatever, it hits so much harder because you're like, how many moments have you had like that or could have like that where it just, you can get stung from somebody that you know?
Well, thankfully, it's not happened to me other than the regular competition that comes from 6 comedians in close quarters in an improv troupe.
Yeah.
Right?
Do you find that
what you step on my line for? I set you up and then you didn't. Right? It's where improvisational theory of Viola Spolin and the ilk of such,
right?
Comes into conflict with just natural ego and ambition and competitiveness,
Right. Do you find that mellows a little bit though with like
that's what's great about getting older.
Yeah.
All the corners around it.
Right. Oh, nice.
Right. It's true. It's so true. It's just so true. And it's as much as you see your line in the sand clearer and you're less reluctant to suffer fools, or maybe what's better to say that you're less reluctant to suffer mediocrity.
Ooh.
I suppose.
Yeah.
And give credit where credit's due.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, you have to. I tell a story in the book about I had to host a CFL dinner, the 99th Canadian Football League, and 3 downs, bigger ball. Anyway, whatever. And minus 45 degrees when they play in Saskatchewan.
Right.
I'm always amazed at how these Louisiana kids adapt to being a wide receiver in Saskatchewan, where it can go down to minus 40 3 days after Halloween.
Yeah.
But I was hosting this dinner, and there were these 2 giants, these 2 icons.
Mm-hmm.
And this will get back to letting it go and the edges rounding. One of them was Angelo King Kong Mosca. Okay. And the other guy was Joe the Chicano Cap. And Joe Chicano Cap was from the mean streets of LA. And he had the honor of having quarterbacked the Rose Bowl, the Super Bowl, and the Grey Cup.
Wow.
Yeah. And he was still life, a lean, mean fighting machine who moved like a predatory cat. Angela Mosca had a cane and was still was wobbly. They were both in their late 70s. Wow. And anyway, they were supposed to talk about this dirty hit that Angela Mosca laid on Joe Cap's wide receiver, Will o' the Wisp, in 1961.
Wow.
So they showed us black and white footage of the game. And it's like, that footage you see of the soldiers storming the beaches of Normandy.
Yeah.
I mean, helmets look, they were made of paper mache.
Right.
Anyway, Will o' the Wisp, the play is called off, and from across the field comes 2-ton Angela Mosca, this kid from the combat zone in Boston, and just lays a hit into Willie, knocks him out of the game. Hamilton, Angie's team, wins the Grey Cup. Joe's team loses it. Joe never forgives him.
Wow.
So they show this thing, and I'm introducing them. I'm the host. I just did my act for all these Canadians who were there for the Grey Cup party. And so I introduced Joe Cap. I read his prestigious list of stuff. And he pulls this little piece of heather from a table setting, and he's got this little piece of heather in his hand. And I said, Joe, so you're going to give that to Angie as a peace offering? And he looks at it, and I saw the idea pass behind his eyes. Yeah. Anyway, he walks toward Angie. He starts flicking it in his face. And Angie, with the cane, she steps back first. Joe tries it again. He takes the cane, and he swings it at him to knock the heather out of his hand.
Wow.
And it hits Joe's glasses, you can watch it on YouTube, sends his glasses flying across the stage.
Oh, shit.
And Joe steps into Angie Moscow. Pow, pow. Puts 3 rabbit punches in his head. Angie tumbles back. Boom. Head falls behind the curtain, and it's Goliath falling. The entire room shakes. Then Cap runs over and puts 3 boots into his midsection, saying, "And stay down, you piece of shit."
Oh my God.
Silence. One woman's lone voice comes from the crowd. "Let it go, Joe. Let it go."
Wow.
And it's everything.
Yeah.
And it's a lifelong thing because everybody's been burned. Everybody's been had our missed moments. Everybody's had the what ifs. Right? Yeah. Everybody's seen somebody maybe lesser than them get the break when they don't. They kill that night, but they take the guy that doesn't kill as well as you. Wow. And away he goes. And there's a lot of bitterness like that with some people in Second City, who hold grudges for a long time. And in stand-up too, and in show business. It just exists. But then again, I had a friend who was an ophthalmologist, and she said, and she taught at the university here as well. She said, it's unbelievable, the backbiting amongst faculty members in the same faculty. So I just thought, it's so good to let it go. So let it go. So it's a roundabout story to your statement there about the business and everything. And I'm just so happy doing this work, guys. And I always was. I was really nervous. I mean, my early sets at Just for Laughs are unwatchable. And there was a famous Canadian humorist back in the 1940s whose name was Stephen Leacock. He wrote, and a critic once called me Stephen Leacock on Benzedrine.
Oh, Jesus. Wow.
So it's nice that as you get older, you slow down, you forgive, you forget what you can. And you take with you what's important, and you leave what's not. I think, and the work to me is always about lightening the load of the people that have come into the theater. I mean, you don't want to put another brick on their back either.
Right, exactly.
You want to satirize and hold power to account, I think you might have more wiggle room in America because of your numbers there, right? I mean, you got 375 million people. I mean, you can have half that country hating your guts and still have 6 times the population of Canada thinking you're a genius.
God. Yeah. Yeah, exactly, man. I know it gets a little dicey here. It was interesting going out on the road when all that shit was going on.
I can't imagine, man.
Yeah, it was. Dude, I've got it all. Thank God I tape almost every set because I've had some.
That's amazing.
Yeah. I've had some fucking crazy interactions with
people.
Have
you gone south of the Mason-Dixon line into hardcore Trump country on the road?
Absolutely. Yep.
So what do you do then?
I do my act. I fucking do it, man. I barrel through. Because you know what's funny? I love finding the nuggets of people in those areas that are quiet liberals, that are, you know, whatever. And those are fun. But the craziest thing is like, you know, you do get into those situations where, like, I was in Phoenix, Arizona, and I was doing a God, I can't remember the name of the place, but I was doing a club out there, and one guy, only one, I was doing had a great time. I was doing my set, and then I went to leave, and the owner was like, "You can't go outside right now." And I was like, "Why?" And he was like, "Because there's a former Marine who wants to beat the shit out of you for mentioning Trump or whatever." And I was like, cool. Like, I'll stay here. But yeah, and he was like, it was just one dude, but it was like that. But I've had like other instances where people
all it takes is one to, you know, have you sucking your steak through a straw for the rest of your life.
Exactly.
And here's the difference between here and there, though. This is the difference.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's packing heat, man.
Oh yeah.
Everybody's armed.
You're right. Absolutely. Especially in Phoenix.
Open carry, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, it is. Yeah, absolutely. And what I was going to say to your statement before, though, about about mellowing out and just letting it go and stuff like that too. It's one of those things that I hope people kind of take in, especially as they're younger and have time to do it too, because, you know, now in stand up, it's like everybody's kind of fighting for this. You know, the club owners have us fighting for a thing, and, you know, all these other people do too. And it's like, it's not the same anymore. None of those clubs are making anybody famous. So why are we fighting over?
That's interesting. None of those clubs are going to make anybody famous.
Right. And we're all.
But the myth is still there. It's like the myth of the frontier.
Yeah.
The Go West young man. And I think, as you answered, I mean, absolutely, Los Angeles, the American dream and the sitcom dream or comedy dream percolate here. I know all kinds of people who go down. And until you've seen until you've got an eye on the incredible attrition rate and the how hard it is, the competition. I mean, it's like no other place in the world. And, you know, Canadians will ask me, a certain kind of Canadian will ask me sometimes, so do you ever play the States? And I'll say no. And they'll look at you. There's a look that comes over their face that says, well, I guess you're doing okay, except for that big hairy ear growing out of your forehead. But it does. Now, my friend went down for a month. She's a screenwriter and for some meetings. And I think she went to Catch. Is Catch still there in Caroline's?
Yeah, Caroline's is. Catch isn't in New York anymore. Catch is in Princeton, New Jersey now.
Oh, is it? All right.
And that's the last one.
Oh, really?
But Caroline's is there. Caroline's is on Broadway, 50th and Broadway.
She went on a headlining night and she said it was all dick jokes and drug jokes.
Yeah, man.
So maybe she just got a bad night. I don't know.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I mean, I don't care anymore. So COVID's changed a little bit of everything in me. Catch is all dick jokes and drug lines. It's not what it used to be, and it kind of bums me out because I didn't get to experience, you know, the Catch in its heyday with the one that everybody talks about. You know, all the stuff that, you know.
That's where Seinfeld came up, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Seinfeld, Paul Reiser.
But there's got to be there's got to be somebody there who would set that standard. That's one of the things about being on stage in Toronto in the early 80s when SCTV was on the air.
Yeah.
When you're on stage, you got John Candy in the audience.
Oh, yeah.
Or you got Flaherty in the audience, or Eugene had come down.
Right.
And, I mean, we were still learning the form then. But, I mean, they set a standard.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I took from that institution were standards.
Right.
And a club owner, if there's not a top-notch act there to set the standard so aspiring acts can at least learn from if they're willing, But he should set that standard. And the impression I get about the Comedy Cellar is her name Esther?
Yep.
She sets the standard.
She does, absolutely. And she's you know it immediately when you walk into that room. When you go down, as soon as you step foot on stage, you do your time, you do what you need to do. You got to have your A game ready and fucking ready to go, and that's it.
And that's at 1 o'clock in the morning, right?
Yeah, so that's at 1 o'clock in the morning, next to people who don't speak any fucking English, and it's
I'm
crazy.
up late for you tonight.
I appreciate that, by the way. Thank you.
Yeah.
I like to make it. It seems special when people stay up late. That's very nice of you. Well, listen, I've kept you for an hour. I got 2 more questions for you.
Yes, brother, go. This
Thank
is
you.
so enjoyable.
I
feel like I've known you guys my whole life, man.
Thank you. That means a lot to us. Thank you so much.
That does mean a lot.
Yeah, we asked the same 2 questions to every guest we have. So first one is, if you can go back in time and talk to your younger self and give yourself a piece of advice that would help you now, what would it be?
Life is all about the long haul.
Ooh, nice. Beautiful. And the second question is, if basically it was what had to end in your life to get you where you are now? Could be good or bad, but what had to end?
Well, that's a big question, because I don't want to answer it about career, because it's not a career question,
right?
Essentially, is it?
No.
I think my marriage. I was married for 23 years, and I strayed and shouldn't have. But it had been on the rocks for a while,
right? For
a long time. But it really it was acrimonious and heartbreaking, and I was estranged from my kids for 8 months. And during those 8 months, from my youngest, I was in the belly of the whale.
Wow.
And I lived in the belly of the whale, and it got pretty dark there. And I'm on the best. My daughters are my best pals now. They're 32 and 27.
Nice.
And his dad would say to me at the time, time is a great healer, Ronnie. Time's a great healer. And but I became a better man, I think. I became a better person after that loss. And it took a long time, the therapy helps. If you need meds, take those too. Mental health is a huge issue with us.
Absolutely.
And it's all through the family, mine to different degrees, my dad's side, my mom's side. And I resisted that, but it helped me take a hard look at things that needed to change. And I needed to change a lot of things. And I'm not saying I didn't have any, that I didn't take 2 steps back to go 1 step forward further down the line.
Right.
But we split in 2009, and April, and 2 weeks later, I was putting my series up.
Wow.
And so, but it was a wake-up call to shift the paradigm. And it took a long time. It's like, used to say, turning the Queen Mary around, right? It takes a long time to turn one of those big ocean liners around. But, I did the right reading. I worked on myself. I stayed healthy. I kept exercising. I ate right. And eventually met a woman who was very nice. And, things have a way of working out.
Yeah.
And, so that changed me. And it took me a long time to, I always kept journals on the road. I always kept moleskins when I was touring.
Love those, yeah.
Social media, right? So you wouldn't be suddenly, I wouldn't be feeling compelled to take pictures of French fries I was eating in Prince George, British Columbia, so somebody in Nova Scotia or Texas could go, geez, they're nice fries. Whatever. But just to get the dopamine hit. But I definitely kept them, and I had to go back to them when I wrote the book the last couple of years.
Nice.
And it's interesting, to see the change in awareness from, the days in the belly of the whale, or the days even when the act was just starting to take traction on the road and the crowds were getting bigger and growing exponentially, and the momentum that was picking up. But really, it was an affirmation of people and place. And as much as things might have been going south at home, the road and the people I met who told me their life stories and gave me a window on their world, that was a sea change. It was the hidden boon that Campbell talks about on the journey, that when you follow your bliss, these other events begin to validate the journey.
Right.
And so I was able to put those stories in there, as well as talk honestly about my own shortcomings. And you guys know, when you come back off the road, you're like a soldier. You're still humming.
Yep.
You're still humming. You're nocturnal. You're fidgety.
Yeah.
You can't sleep. Or you're just, tucked into a corner. As my daughters used to tease me, they said, "Dad, you're reading another book and it's not on the Battle of Stalingrad. Is everything okay?" It's time's a great healer, and just putting one foot in front of the other, and following your bliss doesn't come without challenge and failure, but you just got to keep going forward, because energy expended is energy returned.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, man.
I was gonna say so many great stories. Just want to remind everybody that Ron James, his All Over the Map memoirs are out. They just came out September 28th, so you want to go out and pick that up.
They're at Barnes & Noble down in the States, and you can get it on Amazon or Penguin Random House, and jump on Facebook if you want to say hello. I'm on Instagram too, Ron Ramblin' Man. Ron Ramblin' Man? Anyway,
yep, Ron Ramblin' Man. We'll throw that all up on the when the episode goes up.
I said hello.
I will, absolutely.
If you're talking to him, man. That's too bad we didn't get a chance to talk about the movie we were going to do last summer, but maybe next summer we'll be able to talk about it when we've done it.
Absolutely. Nice. You're definitely got to come back on, man.
Hey, I'll listen. I'll keep in touch. I'll give you a shout when we're in New York, and away we go.
Thank you so much for coming on, man. It was
a blast, man.
Dystopia tonight.